Well, we must bear in mind, they're talking about 30,000 additional
Yes.
polling units. And the period in which these figures, the figures that were released in this in the INEC bulletin, the period in which they were gotten were two different periods. First of all, the total number of registered voters was gotten in the period of 2011. The polling units themselves, they said it's been an old figure that INEC has been working with for a while. Now, if they say that they're basing, total number of people who should be at any polling unit to be 500, and they redistribute it, it would seem that some areas have had perhaps a little over than what they should have, had. Because from what he was explaining and from what we can see here, we asked him to explain what proportionality and 15% equality means. He says that, all the states were getting additional 121 polling units across board.
The equality of states, as they say.
And that we can see here. But it doesn't quite add up to 30,000. And, well, let me just say that it's still a little bit confusing.
That is the intention, is to confuse you, even the media. That's the intention, so that in that confusion, everybody will be wallowing and the 2015 election will come. And they'll say, okay, leave it, let's do this is Nigeria. We have been around. We've been around. And that is the culture of impunity.
No, but Mr. Nnaji, if you look at that too, the distribution based on 85%.
Yes.
85% proportionality, and then the 15% equality. So the 15% equality demands that everyone gets 121, which is what they say they get. But FCT gets 146.
Yes.
But the 85% distribution, that's where you now get based on those voting populations, which comes down to 25,525. So perhaps if you add it up, maybe that's how they arrived at the 30,000.
Chamberlain, we all went to school in this country. This word called giraffing is more eloquently manifest in the Nigerian educational system than the word in the dictionary. Because the giraffe is an animal. And when they say people giraffe, you are looking into somebody's paper. You may see the answer, but you didn't know the formula he used in arriving at that. So INEC may, from this thing it appears, INEC has an answer of what he wants to arrive at. All these things, shenanigans, are attempts to look for the formula. But because we have incisive minds, Nigerians are very incisive and intelligent, and information in the public domain is analyzed with that, forensic mind that have been garnered through very, scrupulous process of education. The current Nigerian citizen is no longer interested in the shenanigan of men who spent their yesterday, and are trying to drag us down back to the retrograde period. The issue now is, because there is no way to explain this thing. The answer is known, but there's no formula that can be used to explain this thing. And it is hoped that with time. Okay, for example, you had INEC say that the register that we had before 2011 were muddled up. Okay? Fine. We say you clean it up. You started this office project. Now you say after cleaning up, the thing that came out from that cleanup exercise is what you are now going to use to do subsequent elections. And it was applied in Anambra, it was applied in Ekiti, applied in Osun. And it is expected that this cleaned register, which they call, I think, post-business something, is what you are going to base the issuance of the PVC, the permanent voters' cards. It's logical. Now, when you have done those cleaning, you have removed some excess weight. You understand? So the ones that were not supposed to be there, presumably, you removed them. And so everything came clean. It is therefore expected you don't go back to your vomit. Because this is like going back to your vomit. You should base everything on the realistic record you now have of the voters. Then the question is, what population is INEC talking about? Is it the voter population or Nigerian population? These are two things.
But they highlighted both of them here, 2006 population figures, and then the total registered
INEC
voters.
should, in fact, be talking more about the voter register and the voter population. Do you understand? Because this is the one they can put their finger on, that this is correct. Leave the other one for National Population Commission and the other people who do all those data capturing. You understand? When the time comes. But what you have found is that because I said there is a destination. If you want to go to Abuja, you have the option of bicycle, trekking, aeroplane, or car, or even Molwe. Okay? But
depending on where you're
depending
coming from.
on where you are coming from, your capacity and your motive.
Okay.
You know.
But if you look at part of what he also spoke about,
yes.
The percentage of registered voters to population figure. Take the FCT, for instance. The FCT has got 63.48% of registered voter to the population figure. And then one southeast state, let me take Anambra, for instance. Anambra has got 42.71.
You see, because I don't want to get involved, I'm a science, I have a very strong science background, so I can decode data. I'm very vast in statistics. You can use it to lie, justify a lie, or you can use it to bring out salient facts that will help development. All this to this or to that has no meaning. I said INEC should be restricting itself to voter population. That is where its mandate starts and stops. You understand? If it is talking about the initial delimitation, because this country has existing wards, it has existing polling units. If you're talking about initial delimitation, I had somebody use that word when I just chanced into the premises. Delimitation, as the word simple English language, if you go to the dictionary, if you have a whole space of this place, you put boundaries in this place and say, this is the limit of where Mokbo will operate. This is the limit of where Chamberlain will. That is delimitation. When you do delimitation over the country, you're kind of mapping the country into boundaries. Okay? Then you can decide, okay, this boundary will form a ward, this and that. In each ward, that there is going to be, based on this population estimate, there's going to be a number of polling units. If you decide to register, you can register first. And then based on the figure you have of the people that will vote, because not land mass, polling units should not be based on land mass because it is human beings that vote. What we are talking about is that INEC is saying if we do not provide more polling units, too many people will stand in line. And the practical implication of that will be that some people will be tired and they will not want to come and queue up under the sun or rain for that uncertain length of time. So let us reduce the length of time and time of exposure if we are able to even hold the issue of security in place. That is the whole essence of this polling.
But don't you also think the landmass might matter in areas where you have tiny settlements here and there that are,
if you have tiny settlements, the whole thing is configured on number. If you have polling units as it is now, they say 500, not more than 500 per polling unit. Mm-hmm. So are you telling me that if you have a voter population of 25 scattered over a distance of 12 miles, then you are going to have one polling unit per 2 voters? How does that? Do you know polling unit demarcation, and so they have cost implications? Okay? So these are things that people who are cerebral and who have the best interest of this country at heart. It's not a question of enjoying the perks of office. When the arithmetic comes, you need to sit down to do it. It is good to say that I'm a PhD student. But when it comes to dissertation, you have to do your job, man. You understand? So it's not going with the appellation. You must do the job. So the point we are making is that this thing, for example, why do you even heat up the system? The system is already boiling. you now bring in something that will exacerbate it to the discomfiture of the very mandate you were given to execute. For example, why does INEC now wake up only some few months to the election to now decide this is the time to do this controversial thing? Okay? Why don't you wait? Or why didn't you do it earlier? Because this INEC is one of the most unfettered INECs. I know what I'm talking about. Under the sun. And then in Nigeria. Most unfettered. So when we say the INEC has performed, it is not so much by their hard work. It is the liberty to operate. You will not understand liberty when you are told that after this program, you won't live here, even if you have chicken and coffee. Only thing you'll be interested in is that gate. How to cross it.
I thought you were talking about poetry. Okay.
So bring in poetry now. But